Hi. Hey. Hello. How you doing? Yeah, us too. You clicked on a button and it brought you through a magical portal to my magical place on the internet. This is Periwinkle Palace Arts. I'm Princess Bun Bun, here with my bunnies, and we do art stuff here. How'd I do? Whatever. Alright. First, we introduce the bunnies. Say good morning to Maya. Maya is my fibromyalgia bunny. She's my best girl. She has a fibromyalgia butterfly symbol on her tummy and little dots all over her where there's to represent trigger point pain, all the different trigger points. She's my sweetheart. She's so excited because we're coloring first today. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna try. Yeah, I think I figured it out. It's all about the eggshell. We'll explain that in a minute. You want to sit in a cup holder? Yeah, she wants to sit in a cup holder. Cool. You're really awake this morning. I'm really not. There you go. And this is Trixy. Trixy, oh, poor thing, is my trichotillomania bunny. Trichotillomania. I didn't think I could do that. And trichotillomania is a symptom or a condition all by itself in which you kind of compulsively pull out your hair. Well, I do that. It's been a while since I had a big incident, but you can see right there that there's a little bit of a lack of hair, and over here too. I usually hide these things with little short curlies in my hair like that, but when I'm going through an episode, I try to keep those pulled back. I don't care about it. It doesn't embarrass me or anything. What bothers me is the incongruity in my hair. If I see it, I'm like I don't know if incongruity is the right word. Anyway, I love Trixie. I love her patterns. Look at that. That's so cute. And she came with this dress, and she has these cute little bows on the end of her ear. Yeah, it's in here. It's fine, work with me. We'll get through this. And she also has this crazy hairness. And it really startled me when I first got her because I was petting her hair and I did that. So she has a Velcro hairpiece. And let me fix her hair bow, you guys. It's bothering her because it's fallen over her eye. We don't really try to tame this or anything. We just try to find a place to clip the hair bow. How's that, better? Yes, I feel like that's better. It's just not going in your eye. Okay, we're gonna color today. I know you love colors. So why do you dress in all brown and stuff? Oh, because it looks good on you. Got you. We all should wear our colors, you know? If we have a favorite color, you should wear your favorite color all the time if you have a favorite color. Or, if that's your skin tone. Anyway, this is Trixie. Now, I don't just pull out the hairs on the side of my head. I also pick at every hair on my body. So, it's a thing. Also, I grow facial hair. I work pretty diligently to not like let it take over my face. But I get ingrown hairs pretty bad, and I'll start to pick at them, like so. Anyway, and also when I do my nails, I know I've been working on showing you guys how I make them thin, but when I do my nails, if I'm having like a severe episode, I will make the ends of my nails really rounded and thicker than I normally would, because it makes it so I can't pick. Anyway, that's a little lesson about trichotillomania. So what we need to do, art, is we need cute things in our hair. It is red day, but I gotta be honest, I'm not feeling colors much either. I put on one of my favorite little tops. It's kind of based off of my favorite painting, Starry Night. All right, so I got black bunnies for today. They do have red eyes, and we're just gonna like stick them back here. I put little glitter pom-poms on their butts. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see the sparkle on the butt? Okay. And we also need what? Coffee. And I am almost done with my third cup. So either I'm going to have to substitute something else in, or we'll have to go get coffee midstream. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I did have trouble getting out of bed this morning, I can tell you that. I even cuddled up with the whole pile of bunnies, and I took like a 10-minute nap. So when we last left off on this little drawing, I was noticing that the inside area of the glasses, the skin, it looks more pink than it looks yellow in tone. And this down here has a yellow tinge to it. So I wasn't sure if I was seeing that right. So I had to walk away from it for a while, right? But I've come back to it, looking at it with fresh eyes. That is the correct coloration I have going on here. And the reason for that is because I didn't put in very much eggshell in the eyes, in the eye area. Not sure why that happened, but we're going to fix it. So we're going to add in some eggshell all over everything, because the eggshell was used to tone the rest of the skin, and I did not do that inside the eyes. I don't know what happened there, but it's totally fixable. And really, it's not a problem. I could keep going, but I see the issue. I'm going to challenge myself to make it match. Why not? Okay. So we're going to continue working on her skin, and then I think we'll do her eyes and her glasses. That's why I have these other colors over there. Okay. So I'm going to lightly just bring this eggshell, like I said, all over the skin. Not everywhere, but almost everywhere. So I still want to leave my white areas not white. And I'm going really, really lightly. And I'm just adding this. It's like adding the color on top. And this is going to tone it to a more yellow in the skin. Yep, that matches better. Those levels are getting a little bit closer now. I've spent a lot of time this weekend in deep thought, in deep, uncomfortable, despairing, disappointed, disbelief. I didn't grow up in a manner which I wasn't educated in politics, government, civil, anything. I was kept out of all of those classes. I had a very bare bones education when it came to politics and government and even how our government worked, how it was formed. Most of what I learned from the historical perspective. I was allowed to take most history classes. But I remember I was pulled out of civics in the 6th grade. That's just one example. So, I used to be quite ignorant. And when I say ignorant, I don't mean that as an insult. I mean ignorant in the terms of its definition is uneducated. When it came to anything government related. I knew to obey the laws and what the most basic of those laws were. I knew what government assistance programs were, like food stamps, stuff like that. For much of my early adulthood, I didn't understand politics. I didn't understand government or what the legislative branches were. Because, quite frankly, it was a sink or swim kind of life, and I was raised to believe that it was not important and didn't affect me, and all I had to do was play by the rules, and I wasn't allowed to do certain things involving the government, like be in the military.
This is a reminder. Take it as the done again. This is a reminder. Take it as the done again.
So, I had young kids. Trying to survive. I grew up really, really poor. We had a hard road of it. And I was pretty focused on that. And most I knew about presidents and yada yada was like radio. I've always watched radio, listened to the radio more than I watch TV. Because I was always on the go and I prefer music to anything. So I would hear things in the news. But in my head, I was busy calculating my bills on the way to work while listening to the radio. That didn't affect me. It didn't involve me. And I just didn't understand it. Give me a minute to collect some more of my thoughts. I want to try and say something today that's consistently on my mind to the point that it's driving me a little bit. It's become an anxiety inducing thing, and I'm trying to get my words out, to talk about it, say what I need to say, and perhaps have a conversation about it. But my thoughts are spinning really fast today, so sometimes I have to sit and just collect my thoughts, say a portion of what I want to say, collect my thoughts some more. That's where the art comes in. Okay. So I think I like that. Um, I know I'm gonna want to clean that up a lot, but I like where it's at right now. So I'm gonna do some blending and add some white in, and I'm gonna add some sienna into the neck, and then we're gonna move on to, I think, coloring the eyes. Let me check something. Hang on. I think a lot of people don't know this about me. Apparently, my youngest child didn't even know this about me because I just never told them. I feel kind of bad about that. Once you've raised 1, 2 kids that have left the house, you're like, at least, I feel like I thought that the youngest one got all this information along the way that they didn't get. I just didn't realize I needed to repeat those lessons. I should have realized that, but like, survival mode, you know? It's okay, because when I realize that they don't know things, I still tell them. Like, it's not your fault, but parenting you is never going to end. I'm okay with that. I feel like it's a good thing that my kids can just come back to me and ask questions during their adult life. Like, okay, I don't think I have a sienna brown for what I was looking for. In my Verithin pencils. So in general, if I'm going to use a different color in the Verithin pencils, I'm just going to have to go with the closest match. Terracotta, ain't it? No, not Tuscan red. I got dark brown. Or that one. Dark umber. I'm pretty good at eyeballing these colors most of the time, but sometimes I really need to check. Now we're gonna go with dark brown. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to add this back in as thin as I can. And then I'm gonna come through everything with this to really clean the lines up. I love my Verithin pencils. They're perfect for detail work. Okay. I'm going to come back through everything and go into the smallest shadow area that I can with the dark brown Prismacolor Verithin. So we'll start up here. I'm not gonna do anything that brings the color out to create shadow. This is just on that line. That's not really coming out the way that I imagined. Let me go here on the nose. That's one of the areas that really needs this little touch up here. And this may not clean up very well until after I come through with the colorless blender. I'm gonna set this aside. I'm not liking how it's coming out, so I'm gonna leave it on my desk. I'll come back to it. I'm gonna grab my white. And I'm gonna come into the white areas and clean up all the highlights, blend everything out really good, and then we'll go to the eyes. We're gonna be making these eyes blue, I think. If you want to know what I'm singing and dancing to, or humming, or just like lip syncing really badly, you can look on the screen over there, right next to me, right underneath me, and I've got you a little Spotify mini player screen share from my desktop. That's what I'm listening to. Obviously, you guys can't listen in the background with me because copyright, right? Don't want to do that. Before I went to college, I had essentially a ninth grade education, and when I was 18, I was pregnant with my oldest, and I wanted to either learn to drive or get my GED before I had my first child. So, around a month or two before my due date, I got my DEG, took the test. A lot of people don't know that about me. I never really thought about the fact that a lot of people don't know that about me. When I was pregnant with my middle child, I enrolled in college. I took the ACT test 3 days after my middle child was born, and I started college. I mean, nobody's ever asked me if I got a GED or a high school diploma, not since I entered college. So, like I said, there's a lot of things that when I entered the world, I was uneducated on. Why? Okay, basically, I was raised in an overlapping series of high control environments with high religious overtones. And when you're not allowed by religion to be involved in anything that educates you about government, you end up uneducated on certain things. Like when you are prevented from learning about a thing, how can you not be uneducated? And therefore, the word ignorant applies. It's not stupidity, it's not a lack of care, it's an absence of education. So for like many years, I didn't really think it was that important. Like I knew that what the president did and the government did had an effect on my daily life on some level. And just like everybody else, I would listen to the gossips and the crazy stories, like whatever they put on the radio as news, I would listen to. I didn't understand most of it. And I was busy. I was working multiple jobs. I was raising children. I was fighting with my husband. We used to fight a lot. We learned how to communicate. That helped a lot. And practice helped a lot. Yeah, and I would hear people around me talk about politics and such, and I didn't get it. And I felt like an outsider, and that was a lot of things in my life that I just didn't understand, and I felt like an outsider. So at some point, on each of the things that you could say I wasn't educated about, um, I started to go and learn about. And learning became a passion for me. I've always loved learning. Um, I was definitely a perfectionist slash teacher's pet slash um, preacher's kid, if you want to call it that. Like, I had all the influences. um, so there was a lot to learn there. A lot of memorization, repetition, ritualization, just craziness. My point is, at some point, I realized that I really needed to understand these things. I think what spurred it off was um, my children. Like, I never wanted to homeschool any of my kids, but I've had to do so due to circumstances a couple of times. And I feel like if you can teach something, you understand it. That's backwards. If you understand a thing, you can teach it. You know? So, when it came time for my kids to become educated on certain things, um, I took that opportunity and the responsibility of learning about those things kind of serious. It was enjoyable for me, but I took it kind of serious. And I was determined, and I'm still determined, that if nothing else, and though I have failed at this many a time, if nothing else, my children will not be ignorant. I will make sure that they get an education and that they know about things. Because what you know, what you understand, really does affect your life. People don't pay enough attention to this. What you are taught, what you learn, directly impacts your life, whether you think it does or not. So, not knowing, which of those things was most important, I just decided my children will learn everything, so I must learn everything. It's fine with me. I like to learn. But there are times in my life it's gotten a little bit frantic. Just saying. All right, let me collect these thoughts a little bit longer. I can do this. I can get this out. I was homeschooled a lot when I was growing up. They didn't have the kind of homeschool programs that exist now. Um, Distance learning was not really a thing unless you were mailing in assignments, which I did do that once. A little school that was a correspondence one, and I liked that one. But so yeah, I was homeschooled quite a bit. There were not the robust programs that you can find out there now. A lot of it was my mom just, I guess they would call it unschooling or free schooling, student led or parent led. I don't know, something like that. I never wanted to homeschool my children because, in my opinion, my homeschooling experience was not a positive one. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. I was not properly educated. I was taken in and out of school quite frequently. Public school. I had 3 siblings younger than me. We did a lot of chores. We learned a lot about how to run a household. We learned a lot about our religion, whatever that happened to be at the moment. We wrote a lot of lines, usually scripture. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't have the greatest experience. So I never wanted to homeschool my kids. I was very against it, but a situation evolved in which it was critical to homeschool my oldest child for a little while. And then I did that for 2 years. And then we got him back into school. At the end of that 2 years, for about 9 months, my middle child was going through some psychiatric testing. It was real intense, y'all. And it was very hard to do the psychiatric and educational testing and get him back and forth to school, and he would be exhausted. So we homeschooled him for about 7 months. Him, her. We homeschooled the child. I've never had to homeschool my youngest, but we did have to do a lot of educational enrichment for that one because their class couldn't keep up with them, man. So we did extra stuff for that one, but I didn't have to homeschool them specifically. Well, until COVID. Everybody had to homeschool during COVID, didn't we? I was scared. I was like, I'm not ready to do this again. There's a lot of different ways to homeschool, though. And I tried a couple. My point is, when I was homeschooling my oldest, it was my responsibility to teach things. And there were some things that I just didn't know. So, and essentially, I would go through the lesson plans and I would do the research and learn it myself. And sometimes it would be a situation where me and the kid got together and we learned about the thing together. And other times it would be I would learn about the thing and then I would teach. I think it kind of probably was all over the place, like a little bit of everything. So, politics, government, civics, war. I had to learn all that stuff. And we did a lot of learning it together. And it was a very hands-on thing. We did an entire election year from like the start of school all the way through the election and beyond. very hands-on. We had like a little mock-up um, election, and he carried the ballot box all around my office, and we stayed up and watched the election, and he had like we put it in an envelope. I think like who he voted for, he put it in an envelope, and so we couldn't see it until after the election. and and then we had like the next day or whatever. Um, we sat down and we talked about why he voted for who he voted for, and like basically back up your opinion. So anyway, it was during this time that I realized how very uneducated I was about these topics, because even down to like basics, the role of the president, the legislative branch, the executive branch, the Justice Department, I didn't understand any of that stuff. I didn't understand how it worked, how many people were in it, you know, how things were gonna go in elections. I didn't understand any of it. So at that point, and since then, I've made a point to try and learn as much as I can. Once upon a time, I didn't vote in elections. Why vote when you don't know what's going on? Well, I'll tell you why. Because your vote counts. I don't. I mean, I do vote now. I've voted for a while. I have mixed feelings about whether my vote counts today, but that's not what I'm here for. I've never seen the world in such a terrible place. And I still don't feel like that I understand politics or democracy as well as most of the people that I know. But what I do understand is our government is supposed to protect us, at least on the basis of humanity. I think that's part of what they're there for. Yep, time to collect my thoughts again. All right, let's see what I'm gonna do with these eyes here. All right, we're gonna grab this muted turquoise. I'm not really great at eyes. I have a whole class on them to do. but I'm not really there yet. I'm not a religious person anymore. Um, Various reasons. Doesn't mean I don't believe in something, though I question that sometimes too. um, but I have an immense amount of respect for every path that my fellow humans may be on. I feel like most religions have a common theme. I've studied quite a few religions, and that's something I was looking for. Is what's the truth and where's the similarities and differences. So I did that for quite a while. It's very interested in it. I'm still very interested in it. I love learning about it in general anyway. But I wouldn't currently call myself a Christian or any religion really. A little bit of everything, I guess, because I feel like most religions, like I said, have a very similar theme. You've got a creation story, you've got gods or goddesses, or one god, or three gods. You've got rules, morals, ethics, whatever you want to call them, for living your life. A story of the history of humans. There's a villain, usually, in a religion. There's usually at least one villain. And, I mean, it's basically an origin story. And in most religions, there is a punishment after death or a reward after death. It's very similar. One thing that I've noticed from almost every religion I've ever studied is there's always a point where the highest of aspirations and the most important of the rules that you're supposed to follow revolve around loving others, how you treat others. You're supposed to be good to people. You're supposed to be kind to people. You're supposed to care for your fellow man. And I find that in a lot of people's minds, religion is the basis for humanity. Okay. I understand that. I need my pencil sharpener. Love this pencil sharpener. I know it seems like I'm jumping topics a lot here. I'm trying to get to a point. I talk really slow when I'm thinking, so if your religion is the story of and the basis for how humans came to be and what's expected of us and all of that stuff. And one of the primary tenets of your religion is essentially the golden rule. And you're out there supporting certain things that are very obviously not caring, loving, kind, compassionate. I don't think that I don't think that's the direction you want to go. And for people who are not religious, we function on basic humanity, and we know that we need other human beings, and if you're not functioning from a place of love and caring, there's a problem. I think that people are not understanding that no one in the human race has ever truly accomplished anything all by themselves. And I see so much anger right now, so much hatred, and it's in politics, it's in world events, it's in everyday life, it's in mass casualty events, school shootings, assassinations, wars, genocides, people dying, being bombed, being starving. And on top of all of that, our country that has been kind of a beacon of hope and light, and the economy and our defenses, all of that, we've been the best of the best, the cream of the crop for decades, at least. But I feel like we are falling apart inside of our country, and we are falling apart globally, and the impact of it is spreading like wildfire through every aspect of our lives, every part of our government, and it's affecting people in other countries too. And I generally don't talk about these kind of things because despite my efforts since let's see, let's go back around 2006 and 7, I've been really interested in world events, news, how democracy works. I just absorb this stuff all the time. And the more things seem to be getting bad in the world, the more I've kind of like focused in on it. I'm gonna tell you, it causes me so much anxiety and heartache. My heart just breaks at what I see, and terrible things happen when any two people, any group of people hates the other. Terrible things happen. Hate doesn't bring positivity. Ever. Stepping on someone else to bring yourself up, it doesn't work. It doesn't feel good, right? Do you feel amazing when you're hating somebody? I don't. Okay. Let's gather some more thoughts. This is where I usually mess up, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna grab my black Verithin. It's always the black, y'all, that I mess up on. Mm. I have to press her. I think we can make it a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my Verithin pencil because I don't want to mess this up, and then we will come back with the Premiere in order to give it some depth. Okay. So, I'm going super thin. So I'm going to go above the little water line here. And bring this out a little ways, but not as far as I brought the brown. I'm going to come around this little thing. Come around this line. I'm actually coloring outside of the line. I do that on really small details because it helps me keep the shape correct. So even on the line that I'm drawing right now, I'm coming a little bit to either side of the shape. So I don't talk about these things, politics and stuff like that, hardly ever, because as much as I've learned in these years, I feel like it would take a lifetime to learn everything. And despite how much I've learned, I still have a lot of lack of confidence when I'm speaking on these things. I don't feel comfortable. Also, true is the fact that it's a little bit scary to talk about what you believe in the world right now. But there comes a point, I feel like, where people really have to see what's happening and decide they're going to stand up. And at least state that you're not okay with this, or that you really, really support this. Because if you don't stand up for something, especially when you see something terrible happening, if you don't speak up, then then that thing will continue forever, maybe. Or I don't know, whatever. It takes a lot of voices to be heard in order to affect real change. I've seen many people speak up. And I don't really feel like I belong in this space, you know? What I do know is that hate doesn't solve anything. Hate doesn't make you feel better. It doesn't bring people together. It doesn't create solutions. It creates horror and inhumanity. Okay, so I did that really lightly. Nice and soft. And now I'm going to come back and go over it. I'm going to come back, like I said, with the Premier. Did I say that? Did I say that? Okay. I need coffee. It's almost 10. Yeah, I'm going to go get some coffee. I'll be right back and then we'll darken this up. I definitely have more to say. I have returned. We have coffee. I also have this thing my husband got me. Monster Energy Zero Sugar. So we're gonna try that. I don't think I've ever had this before, so. Oh, that hurt. So I feel like in a way. If you pay any attention to like culture, history, religion, these things are inextricably linked, and they they really inform our lives, our behaviors, our laws, our morals, our ethics. And I think that people have forgotten all of these things. And I think that the most beautiful thing about our country is that we are allowed to and expected to disagree with one another. And we don't we didn't used to need to resort to violence to come to compromises or understanding. We used to be able to talk about it and then find a place in the middle where we affect policies that benefit the most good for the most people. I just want to say that we are all human. Every person on this planet is a human being. There's nothing about any person that makes them not human or less than anyone else. And if we don't find some way to talk to each other, I really fear what's going to happen to the world and what's going to happen to the country, and in the end, what's going to happen to me. And I understand that I'm sitting here with a heck of a lot of white privilege, okay? I know this. I don't think that precludes me from speaking to the fact that the world's in a really scary place and a really dangerous place, and I really just wish that everyone would take a deep breath and just understand that death is bad no matter who you are. And killing people is bad no matter who you are. And bombs are bad because that's killing people, yo. And racism is wrong. I'm so disheartened, so discouraged, and pretty much very afraid. I already have agoraphobia and don't leave my house unless I absolutely have to or absolutely want to. Why is this leaking? Oh, that's a problem. That's coming right up the straw. Okay. Perhaps a straw is not the way to go here. I'm not holding it over the art because we're about to have a disaster here. Alright. That was about to be a big mess. It doesn't taste too bad, actually. I don't know what flavor it is. It's just zero sugar flavor. That's all. It's just zero sugar. Okay, I'm going to apply a little more pressure here. One thing to do here is keep this pencil really sharp. I'm just not really sure where to go first with my words here. Okay, I like this. I'm gonna come in and try to blend this a little bit without messing it up. Okay, that kind of blocks everything out for us. Okay, babe. I kind of messed that up a little bit. That's my dog scratching himself. Alright, I like that. I'm horrified by certain things. I'm horrified by the the genocide in Gaza. I'm horrified by the war in Ukraine. It's terrible that Charlie Kirk was murdered for everyone. It's terrible that anyone is ever murdered. What are we doing? Why are we blaming each other? Why aren't we fixing the problem? Why are we just getting angry, blaming each other, and screaming that let's go to war? I don't want to go to war. Do you really want to go to war? It all seems just unreal, yeah? I'm against everything and anything that harms someone else. It's really that simple. And if you can't say that, what are we doing? All you have to do is say, I don't want anybody else in the world for any reason harmed. And work towards that. Work towards that as a common good for people. This is not the way. This is not the way. I think we're gonna go with this muted turquoise. We're going to shade this lightly over the whole circle of the glasses. Racy, buddy. Race. Poor baby. Okay. So again, I just want to come over this gently. I just feel like the world's at a point where if we don't say, each individual person doesn't say, hey, 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 I'm not okay with this, it's just going to keep happening. And we're going to all end up killing the whole world. So I guess I just want to say that whatever comes from hate and anger, we need to stop. We need to stop. We need to cultivate love, compassion, understanding, empathy, especially online. I don't think that all of the voices on the internet are a true reflection of our society. It looks like it is, but I don't feel like it really is. I feel like there's a lot of people who just aren't out there screaming into the void of the interwebs to the point where the voices of moderation, the voices of empathy, the voices of humanity just aren't being heard. And I feel like those of us who aren't speaking out and stating that we would like to live in a peaceful world, we really need to. I don't know if people are obligated. I don't know that it should be something that we're like, well, why haven't you stated your position? Rah, 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 you know? But I do feel like what's happening does affect every socioeconomic and geographic and gender. I feel like it affects everybody, so it's about time for everybody to put their voice in. And I don't want to talk about all this. I don't. But I do want to say, can we please just love each other? Like, that's so basic, so simple. Even if you don't like somebody, you can have love for your fellow human being. There is no reason not to. Because if you don't, you're going to lose your humanity inside of you. And I don't want to live in a hateful world. Like I said, I have agoraphobia all by myself. And I only get more scared as time goes on to leave my house. I don't, it's scary. Aren't you scared? If you're not, I would like to know what medications you're prescribed. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Okay, partly. I'm partly kidding. And I also want to open it up to all of you. If you want to talk about these things, any of it, anything that's going on in the world today, if you want to talk about it and if you want to come at it from a place of kindness and support and love, let's do it. Let's do it. I don't want my channel or my community to be flooded with Democratic this and Republican that and politics and everything. I want to be about the art and about our mental health and about finding peace in the world, literally in our own world. But I recognize that it's going to be pretty hard to find peace in your own world where there's no peace in the external world. And I also understand that these things do affect our mental health, and they do affect our physical health, and they do affect every single part of our life. And while it's nice to have the art to escape for a little while and reset, sometimes people need somebody to talk to. And so, as a community, I invite us to respectfully discuss those things. Okay, so now I need to use white to blend this out. I've really pushed in the tooth of the paper here. I may not be able to get a good layer of coverage on these eyeglasses, but we're gonna keep working on it. And I feel like that's the way everything about humanity should be. Okay, well, you know, we need to recognize that mistakes are always going to be made. We need to recognize that there's always more growing we can do as society. We need to recognize that wars have never solved anything. We need to stop fighting over land. That's so ridiculous. It's just land. It's ground. I mean, like, I don't get it. Why do we care where our borders end and begin? Why must we fight about land? Why do we have to fight about what other people think? Debate, yes. We should debate. We debate so that we can have conversations that bring us towards the center, that allow us to make things as fair and good as possible for as many people as possible. That's debating, which is sometimes arguing, sometimes yelling. But didn't people get taught by their parents that you don't use your fist to solve problems? Don't we know that we don't use guns to solve problems? I want to say this, and I don't talk about it very often. My dad was murdered when I was 11 years old. Right in my driveway. I was 11. I had 2 little brothers. At the time, were 6 and 7, and my youngest sibling was 3. And when I think about those little girls who had their father taken away from them last week, my heart breaks. I don't care what he said, what he didn't say. We are supposed to debate and argue and fight for what we want in this country, but we're fighting in the wrong way. We're fighting in the wrong way. My heart breaks for Charlie Kirk and for his family. And honestly, I don't agree with a whole lot that dude. Matter of fact, I'm not sure if I agree with anything he ever said. To be honest, he wasn't really in my sphere, so I spent a lot of the weekend learning about Charlie Kirk. And I don't think I agreed with him on anything. But can't we agree that no child should have their father murdered? Can't we agree that a wife should not be forced to raise those children by herself and have the love of her life just ripped away from her? Don't we care about every single person, Democratic or Republican, who is now traumatized from being in that crowd when the gunshots were fired, from seeing someone brutally murdered in front of them? There were children there too. Children, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers. Everybody belongs to somebody. Everybody has somebody that cares about them. And as if our children don't go through enough dealing with the reality of school shootings and having to do active shooter drills. I have been texted by my children in the middle of a school day to say, "Mom, there's an active shooter in the building and I'm scared." Like 2 years ago, we had an active shooter in my youngest child, in the high school here, because all 3 of my kids went to the same high school. Is that what we're doing? We've got children being bombed in Gaza while they're trying to get water. We've got babies being bombed in Ukraine. I can't even sit here and list every example of horrifying injustice and loss. I grieve for these people. I grieve for my own kids, because what kind of world are we about to give them? You know they have to fix everything we mess up, right? They have to try and fix everything we mess up. The point is we are not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And nobody really is asking for anybody to be perfect. But we want security. We want peace. We want peace. We want peace. We want peace. You know? Screaming across the aisle, screaming at someone who has a different religious belief or a different gender or a different ethos from you or a different skin color does not help. It doesn't help. All it does is make us sicker and sicker and in more grief and more turmoil. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You think about the people you love and you ask them how you would feel if tomorrow they walked through a grocery store or went to a movie theater or went out to talk about something that matters to them in front of a crowd. And you get that phone call that the person you love the most has been killed. Why? Because people are losing faith. People are angry. And everybody's blaming everybody. And I just could not go on any longer without saying something. And I'm pretty sure I've messed these glasses up. Why can't we all reset? Let's just reset. Everybody reset. Everyone, just take a deep breath. Look at somebody else and say, I forgive you for everything that came before. Let's start over. Yeah. I know, I live in a fantasy world. I do live in a little bit of a fantasy world. I'm not going to deny that. I stay in my little Periwinkle palace and I do my art. And I hide from the world and I don't want to talk about this stuff, but I want it stated from the get-go before I get lots of followers or subscribers or comments. I will not tolerate hate. I will not tolerate it here. I do not tolerate it from anyone. If you come onto my property and you spew some hate, you will get called out right in the middle of a stream. I don't care. I will not tolerate it. All people are welcome here. All people. Except those of you who cannot be kind. I don't care what your personal beliefs are. I don't care where you think we should go as a country. I don't care if you are on one side or other in one of the many wars that are still raging around the world. I'm not sure how many have actually been ended. I don't care what you think about our president. What I care about is that you can look at someone who's not like you and not be cruel and want the best for them. That's all I care about. I've been very overwhelmed the past week, which has led me to being very quiet. And it's because all of these things weigh on me. And I am going to take a break from the news. Because honestly, we all need a little break. But can we please just be a kind and compassionate world? Everybody's human. We all bleed the exact same color. All of us. And when I was in cults and when I was growing up, and no matter what religion I was, and no matter what the person I was looking at looked like, or what they thought about marriage, or babies, or abortion, or anything, my whole life because in a lot of ways I did not know what was right or true. I kind of had to build my own system of belief and ethics and morals. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job. But it doesn't matter where I was in my life, what I believed, what I thought. Have a good day, sweetie. I missed that delayed reaction. I've always believed that there are some things that everyone deserves. Life. Everyone deserves their life. Nobody deserves to take someone else's life from them. And that doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't. And I would just like to pass that on. And I would like to say my heart is bleeding for those who are hurting. To the point that I realistically cannot take my mind off of it for more than a few minutes. And I would really like it if all of the people who played a character in the TV show West Wing, The West Wing, I would really like it if they would all get together and help us figure out what to do as a country. I know they were just reading from a script, but we need some help. And I feel like they could really help. Like, just saying. Alright, I'm gonna get off my little soapbox here. I didn't want to get too deep into anything. I just wanted to say a few words. Like, whether it's thoughts and prayers or help or we need an adult in this country, you know. Or can everybody just have some coffee and take a deep breath? I just wanted to say that. There's not much as an individual that I feel like I can do besides voting and educating my children and myself and discussing things with my husband and figuring out perspectives. But I don't feel like I have a lot that I can do because I'm not healthy. My disabilities kind of really impact me in a lot of ways. So that I can't go out to the ICE detention center that just opened up in our state and protest, especially not with the weather we've got going on here. I will die of a heat stroke. I found that out when I went camping a couple weekends ago. Just saying. And honestly, y'all, I can't be that far from my coffee maker. I can't. But I have a few ideas for a couple of things that I can do as far as spreading some information. I believe that it has been threatened that ICE is going to come to our state soon. And no matter where you stand on that, I have some information that I'm going to go over that I came across this weekend on the web. I'm going to go over it before I do anything else. But if everything's copacetic there, I would like to share that information with everyone. And just to keep people safe, to keep everybody safe. Like, I want to keep law enforcement safe. My dad was a cop. He was a police officer right here in this state. That's not why he was shot or murdered. It was a family situation. But this isn't the way, and we've lost our way. We need to find our way. So I'm going to look over some information that I found, and hopefully it will be helpful. And if it is, then I will share that here so that people can use it. I'm gonna stop talking about this now because, yeah, It's heavy, right? It's also heavy. And I want to be there for others. I feel like we all need somebody right now to remind us of what's actually important, both to us and to others in the world. So I'm going to leave that there and see if we can fix these glasses here. And also, I would like to send a request to Plushy Dreadfuls to, I feel like we should get the ability to buy extra hairs for the Trichotillomania rabbit. It'd be fun to have different colors and different styles, and maybe just replacements for when we pull the hairs apart. They Velcro one. They should be swappable. If something attaches to something else, I fully believe that it should be a swappable item. Okay. Okay. Let's take a deep breath. All right, here we go. I'm gonna read the sign on my wall that my husband made. Drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes, relax your hands, breathe out slow. Take a moment. All right. I don't like being this serious. It's not my forte. I'm not good at being serious. Sometimes it's required, yeah. Moving on. Try not to take myself out with the lampshade. Okay. I'm going to really try to give a nice layer of coverage for this color. Maybe I'm not putting down enough pigment. It's just not blending very well. It looks very streaky. It looks like my glasses usually look. Very dirty. So I've got a lot of wax bloom going on here. The solution is not to press down hard. I used to do that. It's actually to go lighter. So I'm going in a circle. I'm holding my pencil back a little farther from the tip than I usually do to help me with the pressure. So that's how I usually do it. I'm holding it back a little bit further. I feel like I should have done these a different color. This was the color in the class though. I'm really trying hard not to go into the black here. Excuse me, I don't want to smudge it. I would really like to know how to get YouTube to not play videos that I've already watched 3 times when it's on autoplay. Does anybody know the answer to that? Okay. Now I'm going to add some color to this one over here really carefully. And then I'm going to come back with the white pencil and we're going to try to blend this out really well. It might not work, but we'll see. Okay. Okay, let's try to blend this out.
You have two?
What?
You have two?
Yes, I have multiples of many of them.
Okay.
I'm live. I feel like that was really pretty until I put the blue over it, honestly. But we're not going to get frustrated with it. It's just art. I already said I'm going to do this one over again. Not because it's bad, but because I want to. I want to try a couple of different techniques. I'm trying to really just smooth this all out. Alright, I think we're getting somewhere here. So what I need to do is I need to continue to smooth that out. And then I need to come back in with the white and add back in my highlights that have all disappeared. But if you can see that the glasses are looking a little bit different from each other now. Let's see. See if I can get it really close for you. Ah, go the other way. Nope, that way. How close can I get it? I'm really bad at direction. I've said that before, but you guys just don't know. All right. That's better. So you can see it's still kind of splotchy in there, and we've really lost a lot of the white highlights. And I know you're probably thinking, well, how are you gonna put the white highlights back? There's many ways. It'll be fine. We're gonna call this done for lunch, and I might keep working on this side until I get it to where I want it, and then next stream I'll do the same thing to the other eye, because the glasses are giving me a little trouble, so we'll see what we can do. I'll make sure to record it if anybody wants to see the process. Yeah. All right, it's lunchtime. I'll see you guys back here at the very least around 8:30 tomorrow morning. We show up here every day, and that's just the beginning of the process. You show up, you see how things go. This is how things went today. Have a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful start to your week. You can do a like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. You can dislike it too if you want to. Just maybe give me a reason why in the comments below. You can leave comments down there. Yeah, you can. I'll read them. I'll respond to them. Always. And say bye to the bunnies. Bye, Trixy. Alright, this has been Periwinkle Palace Arts. I am Princess Bun Bun, and me and my bunnies, we showed up here today to do art stuff, and we did some art stuff, and we had a little bit of a serious conversation, and hopefully that was very understandable. It probably wasn't, but I hope that it was. I'll see you guys next time. Oh, my mouse is not working. My mouse is not working. Bloopers, bloopers.